In the late 1910s, America was moving faster than ever before, soundtracked by the birth of a new wild era of jazz and exhausted by the trauma of a brutal world war. But through all that chaos, Americans had one sanctuary they believed was completely pure: baseball. And in 1917, no one played it better than the Chicago White Sox. But the world changes fast. Spin the clock forward just 2 years later to 1919, and that legendary team was about to destroy the sport forever. Welcome to the Black Sox Scandal. But the Black Sox Scandal wasn't just a baseball crisis, it was a national awakening. It forces us to look back and ask, to what extent did the Black Sox Scandal permanently alter the American culture? To answer this question, we have to look at the greed that started this all. Underneath their dominance on the field, the 1919 White Sox were a broken team. The owner, Charles Comiskey, was tight-fisted, severely underpaying the team. And here comes the gamblers. Led by first baseman Chick Gandil and financed by the infamous underworld kingpin Arnold Rothstein, 8 players hatched a plan. For a promised payout of $100,000, they would do the unthinkable. They would intentionally throw the 1919 World Series to the underdog Cincinnati Reds. Game 1, the signal. The fix was signaled on the very first pitch of Game 1. White Sox ace Eddie Seacott hit the leadoff batter square in the back. The gamblers knew that the deal was on. The Sox blew easy plays, pitched terribly, and dropped the best of 9 series 5 games to 3. But the question is, was it actually worth it? Because the ultimate irony of the Black Sox Scandal is that players were betrayed by the very criminals they trusted. That massive $100,000 payout they were promised, they didn't really get it. The gamblers stiffed them, leaving the players with only a fraction of the dirty money. Meanwhile, the honest winning Cincinnati Reds players walked away with a legitimate world title and around $5,200 each in prize money. The Black Sox lost their payment, lost their reputation, and permanently also lost their title. But you can't hide a secret that big. By September 1920, a grand jury investigated the rumors. Cracks formed, and the legendary Shoeless Joe Jackson confessed. Outside, a young boy pleaded,
"Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so."
Whether real or folktale, it captured a heartbroken nation. In 1921, the players went to trial. Thanks to missing evidence, a jury technically acquitted them. They thought they were free. However, they were wrong. Baseball League hired a fierce judge named Kenesaw Mountain Landis as the game's first commissioner. The day after the trial, Landis delivered his verdict. Regardless of the verdict of juries, no player who throws a ball game, no player that undertakes or promises to throw a ball game, no player that sits in conference with a bunch of crooked players and gamblers where the ways and means of throwing a ball game are discussed and does not promptly tell his club about it will ever play professional baseball. Thus, all 8 players were banned from the major league for life. No exceptions, no appeals. So back to our core question, how deeply did this alter American culture? Well, it completely shattered the illusion of American innocence. Before, sports were viewed as a pure meritocracy of honor. In 1920s, Americans finally realized that even their most sacred institutions could be bought and manipulated by organized crimes. The scandal became the defining symbol of 1920s disillusionment. In The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald uses this exact same event to show the decay of the American dream. He based the character Meyer Wolfsheim on Arnold Rothstein. When Gatsby explains that Wolfsheim fixed the World Series, the narrator writes in shock, "The idea staggered me. It never occurred to me that one man could start to play with the faith of 50 million people." Decades later, the culture remains obsessed. Movies transformed the Black Sox from simple villains into tragic symbols of the exploited working class. In response, Baseball League wrote strict anti-gambling rules that dictated sports culture for the next century, trying to protect the game from the shadows of the bookie. But look at where we are today. Turn on a game right now and you are hit with non-stop gambling advertisements during every commercial break. Walk into almost any modern NFL, MLB, NBA, or NHL stadium and arena and you'll find a literal sports bookie booth built right inside. We didn't learn from our past. The exact vice that permanently scarred American culture in 1919 has now been completely corporized, celebrated, and invited directly into the stadium. My personal opinion, sports gambling will be the ultimate downfall of sports. When everything is riding on a point spread, a prop bet, or a payout, it's not just about the game anymore. America lost its innocence on the field in 1919, and a century later, we are selling whatever honesty we have left to the highest bidder. A harsh truth was later captured by the legendary sports writer Red Smith, who famously noted, "Baseball is a game of mind, and if you take the illusion away, there is nothing left but a bunch of guys in funny clothes."